spookiest of all the podcasts.
So scary. It's so scary. I might pee myself. I'm so scared right now.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I don't know if it's that
hi.
scary.
You never know, man. I'm one of your hosts. What's up? It's spooky_Raven. Already throwing that
Oh,
out. Ooh, got that.
jeez. And I'm Ookie_Mark. No.
Love it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's show. Man, if you can't tell, this is our Halloween episode.
Ooh. Spooky,
Oh.
spooky, spooky.
Raven, what you been doing this week, getting ready for the super big nationally celebrated devil holiday on Tuesday?
You mean my favorite holiday of the year? I've done absolutely nothing. I haven't even decorated for Halloween this year.
Oh, how
I've
dare
been
you!
so busy. It's insane. But I know that you live that life of always, always, always busy, so
Yeah,
I'm sure you
well,
get it.
yeah, and in prepping for the holiday this week, and more specifically this weekend, trying to get Amy's costume ready, I've been 3D printing little bits and baubles for her Princess Zelda costume, like
Aw.
just Triforces, and I designed this thing that was supposed to be like this little necklace charm, and it ended up, excuse me, it ended up being like this huge, like goes all the way across her chest, like it's supposed to sit like dead center of her chest, and I made it too big, so it's just like this
Oh.
big wide plate, and it almost looks like a 1985 like rapper's
Yeah,
medallion. It's
those
huge.
big chains.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh man, it's wild. But people, like, we went to a little trunk or treat today, and people were like, "Oh my God, Princess Zelda, that's so cool. We really like your outfit." And I'm like, "Cool," but no, I went and bought like all these like things. Like, I really got in some weird kind of cosplay mode, because I bought this like this chain, like this cheap little plastic gold chain, like a big roll of it,
Uh-huh.
and I attached that to like some what are they? The things that go on the end of curtains, like little tassels that go at the end of like curtain
Oh, yeah.
ropes, so, and yeah. And it looks, I'm not gonna lie, it looks kind of all right. Like, it doesn't look as terrible as it sounds. But no, it's just, I'm like, oh man, look at this. It works so better than I expected. This is wild.
Nice.
So I'm kind of proud of myself. And we've been getting ready for we have decided at work that I proposed to the guys. I was like, "Hey man, like, do you guys want to decorate the cube for Halloween?"
Yeah.
And one of the guys was like, "If we're going to do it, we're going to do it." And I was like, "Okay."
Ooh.
So we're going to have a skeleton. I was like, "Okay, so we get a skeleton, and we are going to dress the skeleton up, and it's going to be there. It's going to be here now until the end of the year. He's going to be here for Halloween, and then for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, we're going to keep him. We're going to set him at our little table in our cube, and we're going to like put a whole bunch of like fall foliage decorations around him, and a big like fake turkey or something, so it looks like he's
Yes.
eating. And
Dude, you
Christmas
gotta
is
get
going
one
to be
of
here, and we're
those
going to put a Santa
silly
hat on.
little turkey hats. Have you seen those things?
Yes.
You need to put it on the skeleton. That'll be fun.
Yes, either a turkey hat or a pilgrim hat.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yep. That's what's up.
All right. I
So,
love that. That's a fun idea.
and yeah, I had a guy at work print out some letters. So we jokingly, we have a sign, because all the people hang out in our cube, that we call it the ES Lounge. And I was like, we need to do something that's a play on ES, which is short for equipment specialist, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, and we're like, oh, what can we do? And I was like, instantly, for some reason, this popped in my brain. I was like, extra spooky lounge. And so
Ooh,
we had a guy at work laser cut us out of like some scrap wood he had laying around his shop, extra spooky lounge in wood letters. And I painted them this weekend and drew in little blood drops on it, and it looks really dope. I'm really
nice.
stoked. So yeah, we start decorating tomorrow.
That sounds fun. That
And
sounds like
I really thought that
a
we
good
were
time.
gonna like, I really thought that we were gonna like come home with the gold until some people down the road or down the way for down the road. Listen to me,
Down the road in the office.
right? Like 4 or 5 cubes down from us, they're gonna win.
Oh
They've
no.
yeah, they put up the big guns last Thursday. I was like,
Oof.
oh snap, we are. Oh no, but it's all right. We're a confident second place.
Hey, sometimes that's all you need is to be like, you know what? At least we're second. We're still cool. People still come hang out at y'all's little cubicle and you know,
Oh yeah.
they'll be like, whoa, look at all this crazy stuff going on.
So so
Good
yeah.
times.
Have y'all been
Very nice.
decorating the grooming truck or anything for Halloween?
Uh, I don't think I've posted it all on my grooming Instagram this month, but we have like little spooky backdrops where they're just like, you can buy those little tablecloths, and my boss bought like three for each of us, so they're different little themes and stuff. So we've been taking photos of the pups, um, with cute little backdrops, and she'll post them on like our main social media and stuff. And every now and then I'll send them to like the owners that I'm like, oh, these people love Halloween. Let's just go ahead and send them. And they're like, oh, these are so cute. But other than that, we don't really have. It's kind of hard, you know, to have room for a lot of like things on our van as it is, just because it's like everything has to have its exact space. And if we put more things on there, then it just feels like insanity.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's really all that we've been able to do. And I think we'll do something similar for like Christmas where we'll have little like backdrops, backdrops for like Christmas photos and whatever.
All right.
But yeah,
Cool.
I think this is going to be the first year that Chris and I can actually leave out candy for kids, which is crazy because I grew up in a neighborhood where there weren't really any other kids. Um, so my grandparents never left out like candy or anything, and Chris, the neighborhood that he was living in when I moved in with him, there weren't really, you know, it wasn't like a big kid neighborhood. There was like a few kids, but nothing that would warrant leaving out candy. So this year I'm actually gonna have a little bowl hanging out, and but I'm gonna be like, do not ring our doorbell, otherwise my dogs will go insane, and I will go insane. Because all three of them just constantly like, oh my god, it's another person. They're trying to rob our house. And I'm like, no, they're just trying to take the special things outside that you can't have. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just one of those times, and it's coming fast, and it makes me sad. Because I want to relish more in the Halloween spirit. But we've just been, like I said, we've been really busy this month. And I feel like probably until like the end of the year, it's going to continue to just feel busy and fly back, like just fly through. I'm sure for you, it'll also feel that way because, your kids do 1,000 things on their own.
Yeah.
And then you and Kelly also do your own 1,000 things. But yeah.
Well. Oh man.
Oh, man.
You know, well, seeing as how we're all in the spookiest of moods this week, I wanted to do something that I don't think we've ever done on the show and I wanted to like kind of rank something because for one, I don't know, it just seems like something fun to do, but I wanted to talk about our favorite Halloween or favorite scary movies, not just Halloween movies. Our favorite scary movies. So we are going to break down our top 3 spookiest movies.
Oh, is that what it was? Because to me,
That
or the text you sent me was like your top 3 horror movies, which I guess
is
could be.
spooky not the same as horror?
Hey, man, in my head they are not, but I'll give you my reasons for what I chose.
I did say horror. That is correct, and I was
Ooh,
just keeping the mood light. I do mean horror movies. So
it's okay.
if there is a difference, I am all here for it.
Nah, I'm a keep my list. We're gonna do that
Okay, good.
because I also slept almost all day today, so my brain was just like horror movies, okay, and then would just like make part of my list, fall asleep, wake up, and be like, oh yeah, 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 let's add on to some of this. But yeah,
So let's do one for one. You do one, I do one, and
okay.
then if we need to, we'll do like some honorable mentions or something like that. So I'll let you go ahead and go first. Give me your first pick.
My number one top horror movie is one that we watched this month, which is Scream. I told you, I love the classic Scream movie. I love the thought of having just like, you know, imagine you're in high school or you're in like a setting where you know people, and then at some point you realize that someone in your little community has gone insane and is just killing people at random, and you're just like, no idea what's going on. That's a horrifying thought to me, is that like in a place that I am and people I know, people can just like lose their mind and just be like, you know what? We're doing it. And the Scream movie is just like honestly a comfort movie for me. It's something I can always put on and just be like, yeah.
Well, I want you to know that Scream, while it did not make my top 3, it was very, very close to making the top 3. Like it was between this and one other movie, and I was like, God,
Yeah.
this is tough. Like I really like it. Should it be there? I don't know. It was right there. So
Mhm.
yeah, I 100% agree with this pick. This is a great movie. And because we just did talk about it, it is so wonderful in the fact that it plays off of you. Like it's better if you know the tropes that they're actively making fun of, that they're referencing, that they're
Yeah.
talking about, all that. Like this is a horror fans horror movie, you know,
100%
and it makes it even sweeter that it was directed by Wes Craven. So,
facts. What's your number one?
actually, I'm going to start at 3 and work my way back, if that's okay
Oh,
with you.
okay. Fine,
Uh,
fine, fine.
Number 3 is Cabin in the Woods.
The
Very,
original or the remake?
the 2011 Cabin in the Woods starring
Okay.
Thor and, um, obviously the biggest name in there. I'm trying to think of like anyone else who would be like, yeah, that person. Uh, Starring Thor, Chris Hemsworth. No, I love this movie for the same reason I love Scream. That once you get what's going on, you're like, oh, just like all the other horror movies. Like this is why it's so good, um, because it plays into your common expectations, and if you know other horror movies, then you're like, yes, I get it. I get why this is funny. And then when it takes a twist and you kind of get what's going on, it just gets turned up to 11 for the rest of the movie, and you're like, this is insane. Such a fun movie. Quick story: when I tried to get Kelly to watch this movie, she is not a fan of horror movies, but
Oh
I was
boy.
like, you need to watch this movie. It's really cool and really clever. and she watched it, and we got about 45 minutes into it, and she was not into it. I was
Oh,
like, just pay attention to the movie. And she goes, no, because I know how it's gonna end. I know what's happening. I don't want to care. It's just like every other horror movie. And we turned it off.
man,
Literally like 10 minutes before it got good.
that is like
And
that's so funny.
I was so frustrated. I texted one of our friends and was like, "You're never gonna believe what happened." We were watching Cabin in the Woods, and we had to turn it off like 10 minutes before everything went sideways. And my buddy was just genuinely just bummed out, just as I
Oh,
was.
yeah. Dude, I haven't watched Cabin in the Woods in so long. I feel like I only watched it once, and it was like probably right after it came out on like DVD and stuff.
Yeah,
I need to try and watch it again. It's
yeah.
been a hot minute.
No. All right, Raven. What is your second movie?
All right. So, because I went with horror theme, I went with the classic 1931 Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Ooh,
Yeah. Dude,
awesome.
I grew up watching this movie. Like, we watched it every single year. For Halloween, we had like the box set of like, here's all the Dracula movies, here's all the werewolf movies, here's the Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon. But Dracula was always number one. I love vampire movies, and I'm pretty sure it stems solely because of like Dracula. I feel like Bela Lugosi's like character and the way he portrayed Dracula was beautiful because he's mysterious, but he's also got like that little bit of like, ooh, something about him. He's like charming and stuff. But then you get it because you're like, oh, it's that little vampire insight that he can just be like, you're mine now. And he gives you the like stare. But yeah, I love these movies. And the first one, anytime I like ever see it on, I'm like, ooh, do I have time to sit here and watch this? Because it does feel like, I don't know. I love the old black and white movies. My grandparents and I would watch them a lot. And so just watching this always takes me back to like a nice little time. And it's like, it's not like it's scary to watch, but it's just something that's like so ingrained into like my love of horror and like probably my love of vampires in general. It like just paved the way for everything that has come since then. And we have had a lot of different types of vampires.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
That's an awesome pick.
Thanks. What about you? What's round two?
Okay, this one is actually my next two are a little controversial.
Ooh.
This one is a little bit of a cheat. I'm gonna say it's a little bit of a cheat, only because it was a TV movie, and technically it's two TV movies, but I'm gonna say it falls under the same banner, and that is 1990's It.
Oh, okay.
This is in particular the first one when they're all kids. This movie scared the hell out of me. Tim Curry is a legend.
Uh,
And I don't care what you say, I still think that this movie scared and scarred an entire generation of people and future generations into hating clowns. But
yes.
this movie is just genuinely scary. I don't know if it was just like at the right time when I saw it, when it was just, all these kids are freaking out because they're seeing stuff and none of the adults can see it. None of them believe them. And I was 10 years old when I saw it. And I was like, this is the wildest thing that I've ever seen on television ever. So yeah, it is, the newer remake is but nothing compares to the first one. And if you walk into it as an unsuspecting 10-year-old, you're like, what in the world have I stumbled into? This, I think, I dare say, the scariest thing that I've seen with like minimal blood, gore, um, uh, that kind of, like, because it's a TV movie, so
Hmm.
it doesn't have all the trappings of like a Saw or something like that, uh, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it Tim Curry,
No,
the man, the legend.
that's yes. Love my man's. That is. I also thought about it because like I'm not afraid of clowns, but my grandmother really is. And so it like took her forever to finally show me the original It, and then when the remakes came on, Chris and I were working at the theater. So of course we forced her to go watch them and she was terrified. And yeah, those movies those movies can scar you if you're definitely afraid of clowns, but they're so classic. Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
And just so everyone knows, it was aired on ABC in 1990.
ABC.
So it was not cable. It was not I don't know, I can't even, like, TNT or something like that. It
Mhm.
was legit. If you had an over the air bunny ears, rabbit ears antenna, you could watch this.
Man, that's crazy.
So,
AM the fact that it aired on AMC or ABC is
ABC.
like, yeah, ABC is like insane to think about. Like, I guess in just the way that like ABC was when I grew up. So I'm like, interesting
Well,
that
yeah,
that's where it came from.
yeah, because, well, I mean, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, like, the Sunday night Disney movie on ABC, but it was very,
No.
like, we had, like, Disney, or excuse me, ABC was like the most family friendly of, like, the big three, big four
Yeah.
network, or yeah, like non-cable channels, because it had like TGIF, which is where we got like Full House and Family Matters and all these sitcoms that were hit shows.
Yeah. America's
America's
Funniest Home
Funniest Home Videos,
Video.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Dang.
all right,
That's crazy.
Raven, what is your third and final movie?
So I really had to think about this one, and I was just thinking about things that I love in the aspect of horror, and what I really love is paranormal stuff. So I went with The Conjuring. I love The Conjuring in like this weird little way cuz like I watch it now, it's not scary to me like in any way shape or form. The first time I ever saw this movie, my aunt and I were in Florida and when it was like pouring down rain one night. So we were like, let's go watch a movie. We went and we watched this movie and people in the theater are like cackling. They're having such a good time watching this movie. And I was like, thank God. Like it does have a lot of really good uh like moments where it's like this should scare you and it does get you and then, you're like, "Oh, that's so stupid that it got me." Hee 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 type of stuff. But I think Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, they do so wonderful as like these people that are supposed to be within that realm, but like I get that the actual Ed and Lorraine Warren are like scams and kind of shitty, but I I don't know. I just really enjoy watching this movie. I watched I watched a few of the like spin-offs that they did and stuff. Like I watched the second one, I watched The Nun and like a bunch of other things, but like none of them seem as good and as like right there as the first one. So The Conjuring is just something that I'm always like, I love it. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I love a good ghost movie, and I feel like Nowadays, you just don't find a lot of them. Like, it's kind of hard to do because you're always expecting, CGI and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
this one just, it sticks in my head as just like something that I just genuinely enjoy to watch.
Huh. All right.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
really
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, too many movies out there. I just
There are so many movies. My lord. All right, give us the big drum roll of your final three.
um this one, the most controversial pick. There is two camps to this movie. Either you love it or you hate it. There is no in between. I've never in my life met a person who's like, it is it is either you love it or you hate it, and this falls into the I love it category. And that is 1999's The Blair Witch Project.
Nice.
I love this movie. I love the story of this, like how this movie was made. I love the very much the guerrilla filmmaking behind making this movie. I love that they give you just enough, information to form a semi-cohesive plot, and that's it. Everything else is like you fill in the blanks. It's not until way later on in time do you get like, oh well, you get all this kind of like supplemental mythology and extra movies and all this other stuff where you're like, you should have just left it alone, but it made so much money. I get why you did it. But the first one to me is just, it's great. It cost them whatever, like disgustingly small amount of money it
Hmm.
cost them to make it. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Anyway, um, you know, and I remember walking out of the theater because at the time, let's see, I was 19 years old. I spent a lot of my teenage years going hunting with my dad and camping out in the woods and doing all that kind of stuff. So when all of this stuff is going sideways in the woods, I was like, oh yeah, no, like this is a very appropriate reaction that's going on here.
Mm.
Like I get everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And this movie like legitimately kept me out of the woods for years. Like the same way Jaws kept people out from swimming at Martha's Vineyard, this Blair Witch movie kept me out of the woods for years. I love it, and I know that it is very divisive, but I'm here for it.
That's one of those types of movies that it's like the camera people are like filming themselves, right?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the movie that very much created that first person found footage
Yeah.
genre because
I th- Oh, no,
all
you're good. Go.
all of the marketing for this movie up until release day played this as, we found this stuff, this is the footage, all these kids are dead. Like none of the actors did press for this until the movie was out.
Oh.
It was a genius bit of marketing, but I remember one of the first interviews I saw, like after the movie came out, opening night, the main girl Heather, she was standing outside of a movie theater and was interviewing people as they came out, like, oh, what you think of the Blair Witch Project? Is pretty messed up, but I mean, that main actress, she was pretty awesome, right? And people still thought it was real, like they're talking
Yeah.
to the girl. Of course, they didn't recognize her, but yeah, she like they absolutely didn't do any press for it at the time, and they played it like it was real.
Nice. That's really cool. I think that my mom and I like started to watch it, but she hates those types of movies where like they're filming themselves and stuff like that. So at some
Mm-hmm.
point she was like, I just can't stand it anymore. And so I think she just turned it off. And so I've never fully watched it. So that is something that I definitely want to give a try.
It is it it's wild because they do, this is very much the thing where they're running with the camera and everything's kind of all over the place, and it was a little
Yeah.
bit disorienting watching it in the theater.
Yeah.
But it was for sure, it was brand new at the time, and there's a lot of imitators. Like, this is the literal birth of a genre, and I, it's my jam, man, for sure.
Nice. Nice. Good pick.
No,
Good picks. Good picks all
I know, man,
around.
bunch of good picks.
Oh,
So, all right, well, you ready to talk about this week's show?
I sure am.
We switched it up this week, and we are not going to do a movie like we usually do. We might have bitten off more than we can actually chew, because I completely misunderstood what Raven meant, and she
It's
never
all
corrected me until it was too late. She said, "Mark, let's do a series," and I was like, "How about Wednesday?" When what she really meant is, "Hey, let's pick a series like, I don't know, Friday the 13th, or Fast and the Furious, and let's watch a whole bunch of movies and make it a thing." And I was like, "No, Wednesday, woo!" So yeah, we're watching Wednesday this week, the spookiest, ookiest, and kookiest of all the Addams Family adaptations.
Yeah.
Boom.
Hey, man, I let you roll with it sometimes. I just follow along.
So
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is the first time that I've watched it. And
What'd
I
you
know that
think?
you had watched it previously. At first, I wasn't going to watch it until you were like, let's watch this. And I was like, well, I guess I have to at this point because I love Jenna Ortega. I think she's such a great actress. And anytime that I ever hear her be talking about like any of her roles that she's like, I don't know. I wish things could have done differently in like some aspects. And I definitely heard her talk about her character as Wednesday, where she'd be like, this is not something that she would say, this is not something she would do. But she has done it again where I love her, and she is such a great, young, talented actress. And she plays Wednesday so well because she gets that good, like, straight face of just, I'm here. I'm like this little weird kid that would rather hang out with my dolls that I'm gonna chop their heads off, and all these other kids are out here trying to, you know, do their crazy little things of wearing so many colors. And I just want to live in my little black and white world and play my cello. She is such a great actress, and I think she played this her character so great. There were a lot of other like great actors and actresses that I really like. There are some parts that at some point I like was like, wow, this is really cheesy, or I super cringed at. But I'm glad that you picked this, and I'm excited for you and me to talk about it.
Hooray! I did a good thing. No, you're absolutely right, and I feel like they knocked it out of the park with casting Jenna Ortega as Wednesday.
Yes.
Very much like I can't picture anyone else besides Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man. I can't even imagine anyone else besides Jenna Ortega playing Wednesday at this point. This is such a good thing. Um, the theme, the overall mood of the show, even when it's nice and bright outside, still you can tell that this is a Tim Burton jam,
Mm-hmm.
in the best way possible, without having Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in it. This is really just, it is a fun watch. And I remember last year, we talked about this on the show, one of our first shows last year, where I was like, why in the world did they not release this show before Halloween last year? They released it like a week or two after Halloween.
Oh
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what in the world? And I didn't even know about it until I heard my kid screaming from the other room because she was so hype after every episode. Oh my God, Dad, you're never going to believe what happened. This happened and this happened. Oh my God, it was so cool. And then I finally watched it, and then I would burst into her room and be like, oh my God, Alice, you're never going to believe what happened. So, yeah, this was a wonderful, wonderful show.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. Let's start. I guess let's really kind of break this thing down from I don't know. Let's talk cast because we got a lot of ground to cover. So let's just kind of talk cast. Uh,
Let's do it.
I thought everyone knocked it out of the park, and besides Jenna Ortega, I absolutely fell in love with Emma Myers, who played Enid. Is that how you
Enid
say
was
her name?
so cute. Oh my
Man,
goodness.
listen, I need like 3 Enids in my life just to be like, you're killing it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Everything's great. Like, just I need that kind of positivity in my life.
True. Very true. I of course love our original Wednesday Addams Queen, Christina Ricci, and the
I
fact that she
know
was like, "What's up? I'm back. We're here. We're doing it."
that was the best callbacks for anyone who is a fan of the original movies. That was the best nod, and to have her be more than a cameo was phenomenal. I'm so
Yes.
thrilled by that.
Oh my goodness. She was so good. Uh, if you're a big fan of Game of Thrones, you saw our lovely, lovely large lady, Gwendolyn what is it? Christie?
Yes.
Yes, dude. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, God bless. I love this woman so much. She's such a great actress, and she put on like this wonderful role of trying to be like on that verge of like she's kind of bitchy, but she's also like ever so slightly rooting for Wednesday, and I love it.
Yeah. Um, I saw an article or read an article somewhere or interview with Gwendolyn Christie, and she said that she loved this role so much because she got to dress like a woman.
True.
Because coming off of Game of Thrones and Star Wars and the other stuff she's done, she's always because she's like 6 foot something,
Yeah.
she's always in this kind of not feminine clothes. But in this one, she got to wear, dresses and put on makeup and do all these things that she normally doesn't get to do when acting. And she was like, I loved it. And I was like, okay,
Exactly.
rock and roll, man.
I mean, she's running a school of outcasts, so for like the first time in like her career, she gets to be, you know, not necessarily one of those people that's like kind of the outcast for
Mm-hmm.
like a woman. She gets to do her own thing and she does so great.
Yep. Let's see. I guess a quick shot of like all the other kids in the school. Man, did they do good? Did they just like pick their
Yes.
little roles and just get right into them? I love the Bianca character, the Mer lady.
Mhm.
She was great. She was the perfect amount of bitch to where I hated her, but at the same time, I didn't hate her enough to where, at the end, when they started kind of making amends, I was just like, all right, like I see where you were coming from. Like you're not completely irredeemable.
Yeah.
Um, the whole I really dug the actors who played Tyler and Xavier. They were great. I liked their little love triangle they had with Wednesday. That was fun and clever and cute and all of those things. Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester. I wish he would have been in it more. That's one of my few
Dude.
complaints about the series is that he basically he was in it for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it.
He
Uh,
got one episode, but he was there to kill it.
right, right. So yeah, it was great. I love me some Fred Armisen because he's a drummer and he's cool. Um, but but yeah, everyone just knocked it out of the park so hard.
Let's talk about my lovely little B-boy, Eugene.
Oh,
Dude,
Eugene.
he is so precious. I love him. And then like when I watched that like final episode and he's just like, "What's up? I'm controlling the bees." I was like, "Ugh." It was just like one of those moments where I was like, "Yeah, let the nerdy little kid come in with his bees."
I kind of watching it this time. I kind of wanted Eugene and Enid, like not to hook up, like not to be like romantically involved, but they have very much the same energy. Like they're
True.
very excited about the things they're excited about. Maybe Enid is just excited more about everything, but they need more scenes together in season 2 of just to together just being this super ball of positive energy that just is insufferable to Wednesday. I think that would just be so much fun.
True. That'd be Dude, Wednesday would just be sitting there and the two of them are just like, "Yeah." You've seen like those like little meme photos where it's like the one person that looks miserable and then the person that's practically like shaking up and down. That's just like Wednesday in the
Yes.
middle, and then the two of them on the side, and she's just like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
How
Oh
did
man.
you feel about this version of Gomez and Morticia?
It took a little bit of getting used to because I'm so used to the original Raul Julia and who was in the original? I
I
can't remember.
can't think of his name.
Um uh
Uh,
oh, let me pull it up.
there you go.
Um but the no, I liked them. I thought they were very um I thought they've played very much into the uh kind of original of just they on the surface they don't look like they need to be together, because they're so like kind of opposite, but they are
Hmm.
both just grossly, in the best sense of the word, madly deeply in love with each other, and
Yeah.
it's great. I'm here for it. Like, you know, but it's also right there as well without being because this is a PG-13 movie. They're not you know too over the top about it. It is just like the perfect amount of extreme PG-13, you know, lust, if you will.
Yeah.
It was great. Angelica Houston was the Morticia Addams from the
Yeah,
90s.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
So,
Love that
uh,
woman.
but yeah, no, I love Catherine Zeta-Jones. Um, yeah, she is awesome in a whole lot of ways, and I love her as Morticia. And I also like how um, we get an episode where we get a whole episode of basically Gomez and Morticia, as like central characters. They're not just like sending her off to school, and we just get like little um, cameos throughout the season for them. Like we get an actual story with these characters, and that I really kind of dug.
Hmm. Yeah. It's nice to see that little like peak of the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See their little young romance.
So, what did you think of how they? Let's kind of get into the plot a little bit. What did you think of kind of, I guess, the framing for this show? That it wasn't just an entire Addams Family show, that this took place now at their school away from the family, and now it's kind of like a murder mystery, almost a Scooby Doo esque
Right.
monster murder mystery.
What was the thing that I saw? It was like Scream meets something else, and it was like such a good like way. to talk about this show, but I can't think of what it is at this point. Um, I thought that they did really good in trying to be like, we understand that this little girl is a lot different from the rest of us. It's not necessarily that she's like a werewolf or a vampire or that she has like all these weird little powers. She's just kind of this misfit, and people at first are like, we don't know what to do with this, and then eventually they're all like, actually she's okay with us. And I like that you kind of get to see that Enid brings out that little bit of like just enough of like, okay, you can have a little bit of a relationship with me and I will give you a hug at the very end of the show, and it's just one of those things, but like we don't talk about it. I think that it's nice to see that little side of her, and also like the fact that she's like, I have friends and I'm trying to take care of them. I'm going to take an arrow for you. I'm going to go visit you in the hospital, but like don't ever talk about it or I'll probably pour acid on you in your
Right.
sleep. But I love it. I think it's a really good way to try and portray her because, you know, in any form of like movie, Wednesday's always just been like whatever. It felt more like Pugsley would be the one to be out there and trying to do things with other people. So,
Right. Um, I, I very much feel the same way. I really liked that we got a entire brand new cast of characters. We got introduced, and even with this huge cast of characters, I never really felt like there was too many things weighing it down. Like everyone seemed like they had a very kind of clear, concise purpose for with like within respects of the show. You know, there wasn't uh and probably because this was a TV show and not like a 90-minute to 2-hour movie, everything felt like we had a reason for being in where we were being. I don't feel
mhm,
like there was a lot of fat we could really trim off of this. And anything that was kind of that wasn't necessarily plot relevant didn't bug me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like we had that big old dance sequence. It was
Oh my
fun.
God.
You know,
I'm not gonna lie. When I said earlier the part that cringed me out, that that got me so bad because she's like over there doing her thing, and you've got Tyler just like standing there like, I don't know what to do, but like all these other kids are like doing their own thing. They kind of notice it, and I was like, can you imagine? Like, I don't know. I guess I think of like the high schoolers that I know kind of now and the kids that I've worked with and stuff that I'm like, if they saw someone doing that kind of stuff, there's no way they wouldn't just be recording and being like, what's this person doing? And so I had had a few drinks when I watched that episode and I was like, oh,
yeah,
but
but
like she
so
does so good at it.
yeah,
And
but
like the fact that it's that little bit of uncomfortable because she's like, I don't care. I'm just going to like do what I want and break free and get my
right,
dance on.
right. She absolutely does not care one bit, and she kills that dance. I don't know how she managed to do that and keep a straight face.
Right?
Um, give her all the Emmys. Uh, but that was, man, I'm telling you, you're right. That was a little bit cringy. I mean, as someone with, daughters in school, there was a lot of this stuff where I was just like, ugh, some of this is kind of cringy. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, it all kind of felt like it was supposed to be that way. Like, there
Hmm.
wasn't points where I was just like, oh, this is obviously like going for something else and it ended up being cringy. No,
Yeah.
like everything was very intentional and like I said before, very much made sense. So, and
Yeah.
speaking of which, like overall plot wise, like, that we're doing murder mystery type stuff that interjected with school stuff and all of this, like, Uh, uh, very, very clever. This almost makes me kind of want a spin-off series of just school stuff, like without Wednesday. I want to follow the werewolf kids.
True. True. I want to get into that little secret society and see what they're doing down there.
Yes, what they call nightshades.
Yeah.
That is a perfect spin-off, so just call it the Nightshades.
True. That would be quite an interesting look, especially when you get to like, I think it was the last episode where Enid like finds out that her little man's in the group, and then that all these other people, and she's like, "What? But what? Why didn't you tell me?" And he's like, "I mean, it's a secret society." Like, I want to know how they get into it and all that jazz.
Yeah. All right. So, for anyone else who's still with us and has not seen this, first off, what kind of psychopath are you for listening to a podcast about something you haven't seen? And second of all, spoiler warning, because reasons. How many times did you swap who you thought the killer was throughout the series? Because for me, it was literally at least once an episode, sometimes twice an episode. It was all the way up until the end before I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I had him pegged back in episode 2, but then everything else, and then it changed some more, and it turns out it really was, what's his face? Tyler, I think his name is in the show? Yeah,
it was Tyler.
So, yeah.
Definitely did not see Christina Ricci's character as being like, the main person of like controlling it all, but like I love that for her. And the fact that she was supposed to be the normie and is doing her own thing, just like, I love carnivorous plants and I never fit in with the weird people, but now I don't fit in with, all this stuff. And so I like that they tried to do that with her, but like you could have seen it being the principal, the therapist, all these other random like people that they're trying to like, do we trust them? Do we not trust them? But yeah, the fact that Xavier was drawing like so much of the monster, I was like, that feels too on the nose for him to be like, yeah, it's me, but like, why would I draw photos of myself? Like, what's he doing? Looking in like a mirror
Yeah.
as a monster. So Tyler was definitely in there. A part of me at some points was like, what if it's actually Enid? And that's why she can't wolf out. But yeah, because there's like so many kids that it's just like, who knows? It could be any of these kids that are just like somehow doing like their own thing, especially like the little like stoner kids, because it's like Enid's little boyfriend, the fact that they wear the little things on their head to keep their powers technically kind of subdued, so it's like it could have been like that kid for all we know, until he like stoned himself and couldn't go on his fun little date with Enid. But yeah, that was a good time for them to try and like get it all situated. And then you get like that last, I think it was like the second to last episode, where Tyler, like in the fucking sheriff's office, there's a lady literally like sitting behind him like doing paperwork, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go confess all this to Wednesday, and this lady's somehow not gonna hear me at all. I don't know if you noticed that, but that like cracked me up, because I was just like, how soft are you talking to her? Because like, how is this lady not listening in? Because I would totally be listening.
Oh yeah, I would be eavesdropping too.
Yeah.
It got the sheriff's son talking to,
a girl who just tried to like
torture him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% be listening. So, no, I had everybody pegged at one point. I had the sheriff at one point, the therapist, Christina Ricci, and like, if you were anybody other than someone with the last name Addams, I had you pegged at one point, and then you did something. Actually, I really thought it was the therapist lady until she got killed. I
Right?
straight up,
Yes.
I was like, oh yeah, you are it. Um,
Especially when she like goes to talk to Weems and she's like, Wednesday's out of control because it feels like she could easily be trying to manipulate the whole system, but then she's gone and you're like, well, I don't know anymore.
no. Yeah, I think this was fantastic. I really wish that Gwendolyn Christie's character wouldn't have died.
Ugh.
That broke my heart because I really liked her character. Because it was like right after you kind of get a little resolution between her and Wednesday, and I'm like, okay, y'all are
Mm-hmm.
working together to find some, to crack these cases, and this is great. And then she dies, and
Yeah.
um, but and who there was someone else who died, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like that they died.
The
Uh,
mayor? I mean,
mm,
the mayor's like random killing of that he just got like hit by a car,
right.
and that was that was definitely unexpected because I was just like, oh, so that's how we're ending the episode.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um, the what do you think of the monster design, the hide?
It was interesting.
I think this is like one of my like very few complaints with this movie or show. Oh boy, force of habit. Um, it fits kind of the theme, I guess. Like it's a
It feels
very
a little cartoony, but
it
like,
does, but it
but you're
also
right.
feels very Tim Burton too.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially watching Tyler kind of like transform into it, and you're like, huh, that was definitely interesting to see how it's like supposed to like become to what it is. Because at first his eyes literally just do that like bug out thing, and you're like, okay, sure. I guess
yeah,
that's what we're looking at right now. And then he becomes massive.
and
But
my
also,
go
oh
ahead.
no, go,
Nope,
no,
nope. You
you
go.
go,
You
no,
go. What?
because I'm
Nope.
gonna take it to a different area. Go for it.
Okay. The only other design complaint I had was that the werewolves. I was kind of torn on the werewolf design. I
Okay.
don't know what I was expecting, but it was
Hmm.
not Enid's transformation. Um, Enid's werewolf design was I don't know. It didn't hit for me at all.
Okay. Well, that's actually where I was gonna say. I was gonna say, what did you think about like, in that moment that you see Enid fighting the Hyde and that kind of thing? But I think you and I are kind of on the same page that she definitely could have gotten like a more interesting look to it.
Yeah.
But we watched Trick or Treat for the last movie,
Yeah.
and we talked about how the werewolf design in that was not great, but like it's still a movie that's like very popular, and you just like kind of give it that little pass.
Right.
But I'm kind of wondering if this should really get that pass because I feel like the werewolves could have been done a lot better, especially, it's Netflix, it's an Addams Family adaptation, it's Tim Burton, stuff like that. I feel like there could have been something a little more grand to it.
Yeah. And I don't. Yeah. I don't know if I guess I kind of was. I don't know. It's one of those things where it just didn't sit right with me, and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say, oh, I think this design would have been better or whatever. But werewolves are kind of notoriously hard to come up with like a really cool design.
True.
I can only really think of like two of them out of all of the different werewolf designs that I really enjoy, and it's like Underworld and um, uh, to a way lesser extent, is American Werewolf in London.
Ooh, yes.
Because that he basically just turns into a wolf, not so much
Mm-hmm.
like a actual werewolf.
Yeah.
But like Underworld is probably like, if I was going to describe a werewolf to somebody, that's what it
I
would
don't
look like.
think that I've seen that type of werewolf from Underworld, so I have to give that one a look. But I definitely have seen the American Werewolf in London. I thought the like area where they go to where Enid goes to her transformation, like she's running around, she's like, "Let's go find Wednesday," and then Thing just like plops off her shoulder because she's like, "I guess I'm wolfing out." I wish it could have been like maybe done a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like in can't remember which Harry Potter it is right off the top of my head. I think it's like the third or fourth one, but where uh, you see the professor like start to do his transformation into a werewolf, where he literally like his eyes do that like really glossy and like gets super red because he's like, oh fuck. It's not like he like instantly drops because he's like, well, I guess this is it. But I kind of like that kind of adaptation of just being like, I don't know, that it's just like you're stuck in a moment that you don't know what to do at that point. Like you can't do anything, you can't fight it. Whereas Enid's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is, I have to remind myself, it's a Tim Burton creation. So it's like, it's supposed to be a bit more whimsical, blah, blah, blah. That type of thing.
Yeah.
But okay. I guess we accept it because it is what it is at this point. And if we don't know how to fix it, we just accept it.
Yep. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I got on Wednesday. Again, it's super solid. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed watching it this time. I enjoyed watching it the first time. Even watching it the second time was still just as much fun. So I can't, even though like, I'm not gonna lie, we was cutting it kind of close with like everything I've had going on this week and especially this weekend. We were somehow I squeezed it in. But I am really thrilled to see Jenna Ortega get more stuff out of this and to continue doing more Wednesday. I'm glad it was popular enough to get more another season of Wednesday that we'll get once all the strikes are done. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see now that the rating on IMDb is an 8.1 out of 10. So it is pretty
that's
highly rated.
yeah, I was about to say that's pretty high for IMDb
Mm-hmm.
because usually their good stuff um, is like a 7. So
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, hopefully, you know, whatever we get from the next season will be as wonderful, maybe even more mystical and crazy, kooky stuff going on.
I am genuinely excited to see where they go with the second season because we did leave on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
She gets a smartphone and immediately someone takes a picture of her who's standing right next to her, and I want to know who that was because I watched that scene a couple times and I couldn't see anyone in the background who would have taken that picture. So,
I'm
you
not
know,
gonna lie, it kind of cracked me up that Xavier's just like, here's a present for you, and it's just an iPhone in a box. And I was like, sir, where did you get this from?
right. It's not shady at all.
No, 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 no. It's totally cool. But yeah.
So,
All right.
all right, rock and roll, man. This was fun, but next time you say, "Hey, let's do a series," and I decide to say or do something that's not what you intended, you need to be like, "Hey, that's not what I intended."
Hey, It's okay.
Oh.
I was interested to see how you were ready to break all that down. If you were going to be like, oh, let's do a few episodes here and a few episodes there. But no,
Nope, the
we did a
whole
whole
thing.
8 episode season.
If it would have been any longer than 8 episodes, I wouldn't have done it.
Oh, yeah.
But the
True.
fact that I was able to kind of binge this in a weekend, me with my busy schedule, then I was like, I'm sure that we can, because we scheduled this one out like a month ago. I was like, I'm sure we can probably get through this. Even though, if you're anything like me, wait until the very last possible moment to start rewatching this.
Oh, yeah.
Procrastinators unite. So, all right, well, let's move on to my favorite part of the week, and that is where we talk about what made us happy. Raven, please tell me what has made you happy this week.
Well, like I've said, it's been quite a busy week. I had a very busy grooming week, and a part of me was like, wow, I can't wait for the weekend so I can just not exist, and I'm gonna just lay in bed and probably never come out of the covers. We had already been invited to a lovely little Halloween party back home with all of Chris's friends. And I was like, man, I don't know. And he was like, no, we're going to go. You'll have a great time. Chris was right. We went. We had a great time. And it was just nice to go see a bunch of friends, be able to hang out with all of them, hang out by like a bonfire. Chris was over there being Mr. Bartender, mixing up all the drinks for the homies. It was just a really good time. And it's another thing that I love about Halloween because we all like dressed up as different little things. Chris and I did like a different version of Daphne and Fred, which was fun. And the host of the party was like calling Chris a barista because honestly, he did kind of look like a barista after he announced that. And I was like, that's fine. Because he had like this big orange elaborate scarf on instead of just like, Fred's typical little ascot. But it was a really good time. It was nice for us to like hang out with a bunch of the friends, and we went and saw his grandmother beforehand, and so it was just a good time to go home and get that little like boost of an energy charge that I guess I needed.
For sure.
Yeah. How about you, Mark? What has made you happy this week?
I got two things.
Ooh.
So at work, I have this lady that I work with. Shout out to Reza, because we when she comes in my cube and talks, we talk about creative stuff. She is my creative buddy. She has a blog that I cannot remember the name right now. Reza, please forgive me that I cannot remember it. But she came in. We became friends because she came in the cube, and we somehow got on the subject of like shooting videos or filming stuff. And she was like, "Oh, I got this blog on YouTube and this, that, and other," and we got to talking about that. And now when she comes in, she's like, "Oh, hey, what are you filming? What are you working on?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I haven't done anything. I've been busy and, still trying to recover from Colorado and Vegas by trying to get caught up in everything, etc." And we got to talking, and she said something about doing a certain kind of film something. I was like, I would love to do that, but I can't have my phone out of commission that long because I film everything with my phone. And she goes, I have a camera you can borrow. And she let me borrow this pretty pricey camera that if you are subscribed to us on socials, on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, then you have seen the newest video that I posted a couple days ago. By the way, that is at Nerd for No Reason on all of those socials. But yeah, I filmed it with this new camera, and it is awesome. Took a little bit of working to like kind of get it to look the way I wanted it to look, but The big thing is that when I film with my phone, because it's an iPhone and iPhones inexplicably don't work as good as they should with a PC, it's this complicated thing. I don't know. It's a pain in the butt the way I have to transfer the video from my phone to my computer. With this camera, I plug it in, drag and drop. It is fantastic, super easy. I literally decided on, wrote, filmed, edited, and had it posted in the matter of like 4 hours. So like, I think I started at like 6 in the evening, filmed it, transferred it, like did all of that stuff and posted it, and then went to bed. It was such a much more streamlined experience. I loved it. Shout out to my homegirl. Thank you so much. The second thing, Friday night, as I am working on this video, Alice gets in the shower. And while she's in the shower, someone rings the doorbell, and I'm like, who the hell is this? Because at first, for a split second, I thought it was Alice. Because I thought she was just goofing, like ring the doorbell and let the dogs bark and raise hell, because that just seems like something she would do. No, in fact, this was like 8:30 at night. Now, we never get people just unexpectedly show up to the house, and especially at 8:30 at night. So I was like, oh, this is probably going to be one of those things like someone's being dumb and I'm going to have to be dumb back. But it's our neighbors who are getting ready to move. And literally the day before, or earlier in the day, my days are running together. They gave us a pressure washer. I wasn't here. They gave it, my mother-in-law and was taking Amy, and they stopped by the house to pick up some stuff. And so they brought over this pressure washer. It was like, here, it's yours. Like, we're moving. We don't need it where we're going. So here you go. And they came over, and I was like, oh man, hey, like, I hadn't seen you since, you gave us a pressure washer. Thank you so much. They're like, no problem. The house that we're moving to in Florida, the people who are moving out are leaving us everything. Furniture, appliances, TVs, like all of this stuff. They literally sold it to us for like $1,000, and it's a whole house full of stuff. So we are moving from a furnished house into another furnished house, and we're just trying to get rid of stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you so much for the pressure washer. And they're like, do you want a TV? And I was like, I don't think I'll say no to a TV. They're like, yeah, man, it's a 75-inch, like, Samsung. I'm like, excuse me? And they show me pictures, and I'm like, how much do you want for this? And they're like, don't worry about it. I go, excuse me?
Okay.
So I was like, this is a lot to take in. Yes, I'll take it. It's a little bit late in the evening now. And I'm kind of busy on something. Like, let me touch base with you tomorrow, and I'll come over there, and we'll move it across the yard, put it in the garage. He's like, okay. This TV is huge. This TV is bigger than the one we got in our living room right now. I am dumbfounded and flabbergasted that this dude is like, yeah, free. Here you go, dude. And then brought over like this, we'll call it a yard wagon for the lack of better terms, like an industrial strength wagon that you put like logs and stuff in. Brought that. He's like, you want some tools? I'm like, dude, stop. I cannot take anything else from you. Like, I am flushed with just, I don't know how to react to this right now. I feel like this is just too much, and I really don't want to take advantage or seem like I'm taking advantage. She's like, no. I'm like, I get it, but if I take anything else from you, I'm legitimately going to feel guilty. I found out he sold his lawnmower for like literally a third of what that thing was worth. I mean, it is a nice thing, probably even less. Had I known he was selling that lawnmower for that much money, I would have bought it. It's an awesome lawnmower, and yeah. And the wild thing is Kelly's on a cruise. She's in the middle of the Atlantic right now. She'll be coming home tomorrow, I think. And there's no way for me to text her, like, in the past couple of days and been like, hey, we got a new TV, so don't freak out when you walk in and see this ginormous TV sitting in the house. So, but yeah, that's the two things that have made me happy this week.
Dang.
It's been a very good week.
The gift of giving is coming within the seasons.
It's almost time for us to let Mariah Carey out of her cage.
Oh, Lord. Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine.
Oh, two things. I thought about this while you were giving me your thing that made you happy. And we never touched back on it. What is the difference between a scary movie and a spooky movie?
Are you actually asking me this, or is this like a joke that you're gonna?
No, because we talked about it, and I wanna know. I wanna know what
between like a horror movie and like just like a spooky movie.
Yes, I want to hear your definitive definition.
I don't know. In my head, I was like, well.
Is a spooky movie more of kind of a lighthearted kind of comedic thing,
maybe,
like Scooby-Doo?
Like kind of like how The Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, Coraline, like those are all like, they're not horror movies. I wouldn't say something like that, but they're definitely not like,
Right.
just classic movies that you're like, oh, we want something light and airy. Let's put this on. Like, I don't know. Or
okay.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice isn't a horror movie, but it's not like that's just what my head thought when you were like horror movies, and I was like, okay.
Okay. No. I'm tracking.
Okay. Cool.
No. And I don't know if you want to talk about this now, but that Reddit post I sent you that is literally Barbarian out in the wild.
Good Lord. I sent it to our group chat because we had watched that movie on our vacation, and I was like, guys, look at this. And everyone was like, no, that is cursed.
So for those of y'all listening, I came across this post on Reddit where if you go back a couple episodes and listen to our Barbarian episode, that whole movie takes place in Detroit about this lady who rents an Airbnb in the middle of like this run down, like it's the only house on the block that does not have boards on the windows. And this Reddit post was literally that, like, hey, I'm at an Airbnb in Detroit. My house is the only house that doesn't have boards on the windows. And every single comment was a Barbarian reference in some way, shape, or form. It was just like, don't worry, mommy will keep you safe.
No.
It was incredible.
Oh my goodness. As soon as I saw it, I was like, dude, no. They gotta leave.
Yeah.
Instantly.
I would absolutely not stay in that place.
Nope. Don't go in that basement.
Right.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Or in that crazy tunnel.
Jeez.
Yeah, there was a bunch of mistakes in that movie.
Oh, man.
All right, everybody. You guys go and find us on the social medias. Go find us. We are at Nerd for No Reason on all of them. On Twitter, on Instagram, on TikToks, on Facebooks. I'm sure I left some of them out. Threads. We haven't been let on Blue Sky yet. But we'll get there one day. Maybe. I'm not real sure. I suppose I need to go and secure that Tumblr handle, but that'll happen someday, I'm sure. That's going to be my new running gag is the Tumblr. But yeah, go do that. You can find me personally at Turtles Do It on all of the social medias. Yeah.
I kind of linked mine this at the begins, but it's spooky_Raven if you like to hang out on Twitter. That's where I hang out.
Cool. Raven, this was super fun.
This was a good time.
This was a blast. Everybody, go do something wonderful in the world this week.
You guys go in just the coolest, spookiest medias you can find this Halloween season. And then come back next week and hang out with us again at Nerd for No Reason. Goodbye. Bye.
Happy Halloween!
Ooh.
Ooh. We're nerds.
The scariest thing.